Good morning and welcome to my channel, Bricolage with Paint Girly. And a little while ago, actually, I think it was this past weekend, I did a live where I wanted to eco print on paper. And so I kind of worked that out, but it really was a debacle. So if you want, you can go back and check that. But I just want to catch you up on how I'm going to use the paper that really was an epic fail during my eco printing. So what I started out with, this is going to kind of catch you up. What I started out with was the tablet of paper that I picked up at a discount Goodwill type store. And I dismantled the book, and I decided I would try to do my prints on this paper. It's not very thin. It's a nice weight paper, maybe about 24 pound, I would guess, but I don't really know. So that's what I decided to use. And so if you watch the live, I layered my flowers. Chose to use flowers and tied my bundle, put it in my pot with water and some white vinegar. I threw in some onion skins and I used yellow dahlias. And this is what I got. A really nice orangey yellow paper. It's got a nice crunch to it. I ironed my sheets after I let them drain a little while. But see, I didn't really get any prints. So that was disappointing. But the pages look nice. So I decided I'm going to use those in a journal. So this is what I decided to do. I decided to take them. Now, during the stream, I think I mentioned over um, the fact that the lines aren't the right way for journaling. But as I was fussing with these this morning and ironing some more paper, I decided to tear them all in half and use them this way. And the lines are the right way, and I can make a small journal. So I had quite a stack. So this is what I did. And now the way I am is, see, this will never do because you have the border, but no border at the top. So I've decided to trim those. So now when you iron wet paper, it does curl some. So as it curled, I just ironed my other pages a second time. Now I put my iron away, but you can iron them a second time. That'll flatten them out a little bit if you want to cut them. Normally, I don't worry about them being a little curled because it just gives them some additional personality and crunch in your journal. Now, I've got to be mindful also that, see, I've got a top margin, and this is the bottom of the page. So if I want to stack these to cut them, I want like pages together. So I can cut properly, but I'm cutting the same type of page, and I'm not biting off more than what I need. So I just want to make sure I've lined this up correctly. Now what I'm going to use for my cover is also something that I did on a live stream about a week or so ago. It might be longer, I'm not sure. But I took some of my decorative paper napkins and ironed them onto freezer paper, and that was really fun. But I've got all these great papers to use, and I decided to use some of that project for the cover of this little journal. I'll show you those in a minute. So these are the last few pages I need to trim. I'm probably going to have to trim them again because I need them to be a certain size to go in the cover I'm creating. So many times I create things for my live streams and then I don't use the end product. I'm trying to get a little better at that. And as a content creator, I think I don't turn my camera on enough and have enough content. So I'm trying to be better at that too. So this is what I did. This is one of the napkins. and I ironed it onto freezer paper. I'll put that link of that live stream in my description box when I'm finished with this. And I thought this would be a cute cover. So now, oh, that's my little post-it note. I need pages that are 4.5 by 6 3/4. So I think I still have more pages to trim. So I'm going to get all of my, I'm going to call these my top pages together. Like this. And then all my bottom pages. I think it's my bottom pages. I still have plenty of those left to cut. I did cut some of them. But I want my book to be, you know, pretty full. It's just going to have this kind of paper in it, which is unusual for me, but I think I'm going to like how that looks. Now you can see that these are too large. Now what I did was I took a napkin. Now, as most of you know, when you open up a napkin, you've got 4 corners, and the images a lot of times will repeat. Sometimes the one end is blank, but a lot of times you get the same image on all 4 corners. So when you open up that flat and you iron that onto freezer paper, you've got 4 images that are sitting on top of each other. So I ironed them on, and then I trimmed them in half, and then I backed them with each other. Just gives it a little more stability. And then I took my zigzag stitch around the outside edge. So that's going to be my cover. Or maybe that will be my cover. I'm just going to see how many pages I can fit in here and how fluffy it's going to be. Now, there's quite a little bit of a distance on the edges, but that might be okay because as I stack and fold these, I'm going to need a little extra give. So we'll see. I might have to adjust, but right now I think this is going to work. So when I measured it, they're 4.5 by 6 3/4. So these are just a little too large, right? So I should have kept my cutter up here on my table. Now I want to make sure these are all going the same way. Looks like they are. Okay. So I'm going to trim. And then all I have to do is fold. And then I'll be able to stitch my signatures into my cover. So now sometimes I get a little twisted around with measuring. So I want them to be, and I've got 2 different ends here, so I've got to be careful about that too. So this way I need it to be 6.5. So I'm just going to take a little bit off of both ends. You don't have to be as fluffy as this. And then I need it to be 4.5. Is that what I said? Where's my, yeah. Oh, it's 6 3/4, not 6.5. Oh, geez. So that's a wrong size. So 6 3/4. So I'm just going to trim a little. And then we do 6 3/4. That's just about perfect, I think. And then 4.5. So that's a good one, I believe. Oh, look. See, my cutter, I have to remember with the guillotine cutters, you kind of have to push your arm in towards the board. Don't always do that. So now let me stack just a couple that are kind of the same. This guy's really taller, a lot taller. And if they're a little off, I mean, really, it's basically a junk notebook. So I was going to have some of this done ahead of time. And then hubby came home. And I kind of lost my lost my plan, my idea of what I was going to be doing. See, I've got a lot of the green border on this one end, so I want to put those all kind of on the same end. Now, this is a lot of paper, so this is really... No, that's not going to work, is it? I'm just going to take a skoosh, as they say, in upstate Pennsylvania, off of that edge. Slip that under my guide. That's better. And then I'm looking for my 4.5 mark. All right, I'm going to do one more stack and then fold. And then I'm going to decide whether I need to adjust. Oh, look, it's almost all of them. And I'll decide if I need to adjust my cover. I think I can adjust that just a little bit more. And I'm going to go to my 6 3/4 mark. And then my 4.5. All right, now we've got our little bits there. I can toss those, put my cutter down behind me there. These napkins were really cute. All right, so I've got my bone folder here. And all I'm going to do is very carefully fold my pages. Now, unfortunately, I need all these pages. So this takes a little bit. If I can figure out how to speed up my video, I could do that so you don't have to watch me fold paper. But I was just thinking about how I didn't get any imprints on this paper from my flowers. But I do like the die part of it. So I went online and I investigated what kinds of flowers you can get some really good eco prints from. And I found the gal that I watched, and boy, she is so many levels above my simple flower dyeing process. But I want to try what she does. So I haven't given up yet. Now see, this one, I put a different flower on the corner and I got a different color dye, but no imprint. And you see these speckles here? If you watch the live, you'll realize I think I was ironing on top of my ShamWow, and I realized I was picking up some wax from another live project we were doing. All right, so there aren't two too terribly many pages here. But I think it's going to make a nice little chubby journal. Who doesn't love chubby journals? Chubby journals and chubby babies, huh? Those ones with the wax on them are kind of cool looking. I'm going to mix those up a little bit there, though. Now, I'll be doing a pamphlet stitch when I decide what I want to do. I just don't know, since I stitched my napkin, I don't know if it's going to be too long. Now, I could stitch it again, but I'm thinking maybe I might take a tuck in the spine. We'll just see how it looks once I get all these. Now, this is a very large, of course, signature. You could do more than one signature. Personal preference and all that jazz. See, this is what I'm talking about, this gap here. I'm not too thrilled with that. I would like this to be more this way. But it's not enough to bring, like, to flop it over to make a lap, you know. I think the easiest thing to do would be to trim this and restitch. What do you think? I think that's what I'm going to try. It should cut okay. Now, I just eyeballed that, so hopefully that size is going to work. That's a sweet little journal. Don't you think? I wonder if I do some hand stitching. But see, I've got to decide all that before I put it together, don't I? See, when you create things, one thing just leads to another, doesn't it? All right, let's do this. First of all, my finicky self, see that white line? Don't like it. Don't like it at all. So I'm going to get out my distress ink, my blending tool. And I'm going to see if I can knock back some of that. Because the back of the napkin, of course, is lighter, but the color of the freezer paper is white. That's why we're getting such a white look there. I don't like it. See how it's really white? This is extra napkin I'd folded in. I'm trying not to be too rough with it because I don't want to tear the napkin. All right, now I'm going to quickly just stitch this. So leave my pages here. My machine is here and all set up. This won't just take but a few seconds. Now I was thinking I might have some appropriate embroidery thread right here by my desk, but I don't. I have yellows. I don't think I want yellow. See, so now that fits in there really well. I'm liking that a lot. But I think I do want to stitch on that. So this is what happens when you are being creative. Sometimes you don't have what you need right by where you're working. So I'm going to go grab my embroidery floss. I think a few French knots might be really cute. On that sheep's head. So let's pull out a few of my, it's got some pink on that one. That should do. Let's see a darker pink that I think will work. Now the next challenge will be is to find a needle. Because if you follow me at all, you know that I'm always moving stuff. So let me just take a little bit of this darker pink. Snip a little piece of that off. Grab a needle. Oh, excuse me. I'm not sure that I want 6 strands of thread, which if you are not someone familiar with embroidery thread, you've got 6 strands of thread. But maybe 3 would be nice. If I can separate it. I seem to be getting 4 and 2. Did I do it? Looks like I did. Okay, great. Now I'm going to thread this. So that means I'm going to have a knot on the back side, which I'm not crazy about. And these aren't lined up perfectly, but let's just try. Now, a French knot is you just twist your thread around your needle however many times. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like I did it 5 times. Go back in that same hole. And then just draw your thread down. And that's really messy. Don't like it. I didn't hold my thread tight enough. Redo. Redo. I wonder if I put my knot on the top. Oh, let's try that. I'll put my knot on the top. So then I have to bring my thread back up. You probably shouldn't do it the way I'm doing it. Now I've made a gigantic hole because, see, it's paper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going right back down next to, oh, I've got a mess here, I think. I want to hold this taut. That's not too bad. Coming up as close to it as I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go back down. Holding this thread taut. I'm going to put one more. I think I want this one smaller, so maybe I'll wind it 3 times. One, 2, 3. Got myself right back down in there, pulling that thread tight. I think that looks cute. All right, so now let's do this little flower over here. I'm going to put a smaller one at the bottom. 1, 2, 3. Maybe these all need to be smaller. That kind of looks good. One, 2, 3. It's kind of messy on that back side, but I have an idea for that. One, 2, 3. The more you do, the better you get. That just adds to the cover, don't you think? Okay, so now I'm going to finish this off by knotting it back. Now, I do have thread left here, but it's kind of short, and I'm thinking I might like to do, see, there's a flower there and a flower there. Just looking at how long my video is ending up being. So I'm going to get my other piece of embroidery thread here. Okay. These big-eyed needles are great. All right, so now I want to come up here. I forgot to hold my thread tight. That one's a little loopy-doopy. We are going to carry on. I don't know if there's an official amount of times you're supposed to wind it around for a French knot. I seem to remember 4 or 5. That one turned out pretty good. Now I want to put some also here, but I don't want to drag my thread across. This is the inside cover, so I don't want to drag my thread that far. Now, some of you that are watching, if you know me, you probably know what I'm going to do to take care of that. Maybe you don't. Okay. This is the last flower. I kind of veered off course, haven't I? What my video is supposed to be. Maybe I'll just change the name of the video. Then I won't get in trouble with anybody. Okay. That didn't take too terribly long. All right, now what I'm looking for is something I can glue over top of that. I don't know that this is what I want, but I'm thinking a piece of fabric actually. If I can find a piece that's right handy. Or here's a piece of, here we go, muslin. Looks like a little band-aid, huh? And then I've got some of this bookbinding stuff here, which is really yummy. Ooh, look at this piece. I'm liking that, right like that. I could add that too, couldn't I? Kind of like it just like that. So I've plugged in my hot glue gun. So, I need some glue. I have to remind myself not to stray off course when I'm doing a video. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Okay. Let's get this. So now adding the glue here, we'll do two things. So we'll secure my thread for one. I guess it's not really heated up too well. Oh, goodness me. And it makes the inside of cover cute. I do kind of like this on it. And this is real flat. I don't know what this is, like a little piece of chipboard, or I don't really know what that is. Got it in a bundle or something. Just if you do that, make sure your glue's not super hot. You don't want to burn yourself. All right, shall we finish? So I'm just making sure I've got all my pages the way that I want them. I've got some waxed linen right here. So now I've got to get these situated in here. I'm going to take a binder clip. Now that will hold my pages where I want them to be. I've got a little mini one here somewhere. Don't know if that's going to be. Yeah, maybe. Now see, when I folded it, I don't have it exactly right, look. And I'm bending up my napkin. See how I'm off there? So I'm going to redo that. I want that to be even. Even Steven. Let's do it this way. Let's kind of pre-crease that napkin. This one page looks like, no, it's the right size. I thought maybe it was a little larger than the others. All right, let's clamp. And close. See, that's better. Now again, I'm just going to eyeball this. I'm not going to measure. I'm going to get my poke tool or an awl, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to do a 3 pamphlet stitch. So I'm going to put a hole in the center, one at the bottom, going through all the layers, and then one at the top. I know I twist everything around. And I know I need another needle with a big eye. I'm not sure that one's big enough. Let's see what else I have available here. That one might work. So then I'm going to take my linen, my waxed linen thread. Oh, look, see, that's got a big, I don't want to use that. So let's trim that off. And this is little, so I'm just going to go twice. Well, maybe I'll just do 3. I can cut it off. And I want my tie to be inside. So I'll start on the inside. This waxed linen is a little thick. There we go. Got it. So I'm going to go through my center. And if you keep your book kind of closed, it goes through a little easier for you. Then I'm going to go through to the bottom and pull that snug. And then, well, I guess that was the bottom. Then this is the top. Go right through. And then I'm going to come back in that center hole. Go back into the center. That can be a little fiddly. It really does help if your pages are in this position or closed. You're just going to grab your needle, pull it the rest of the way through. I like to have my center thread in between those two. You want to make sure this is nice and taut, and then make your tie. I'm not going to do a bow, I'm just going to do a knot. So now I have a little journal with pages that are delightful, but really was a debacle when it comes to printing. Now see, this is raised up a little bit here from fussing around with it. I'm just going to add a little glue, I think, and glue that down. And there's our little journal made with pages that really were a disappointment. So don't throw anything away. Thanks for joining me. If you have any questions or if you're interested in owning this little journal, get in touch. That's all for today. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.